Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Adobe Live. My name's Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist here at Adobe, joined by my good friend and fantastic designer, Kate Kassab. How are you, Kate? Doing pretty well. Looks like we have the audio all fixed up from yesterday, which is fantastic. If anyone missed yesterday's stream, definitely go back and check it out. Kate's working on a really awesome application design that she's going to be talking all about today. But before we dive into things, I do want to say a big hello, good morning, afternoon, or evening to everyone who's joining us live here on Behance. And if you are tuning in on YouTube, head on over to behance.net/Adobe Live. There's also a link on the little overlay right over there. So we got Noor and Cornell and Henry and Laura and Julia and Yaya. If I mispronounce her name, I apologize. We've got Paco's in the house, Becca and Voodoo Val. Great to see. Audio is not live. Oh no. Oh no. Only hearing me. Oh no. Oh no. I can hear you. Yesterday I was not able to hear you. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Let's try to fix something over here. Let's go over here. I can hear you, yeah. I guess only... It might just be me today. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm going to switch over to your audio's live, but not Kate's. Oh, no. All right, Kate, say something. Yeah, yours is not coming through. That's odd. Okay, this is fun. We can diagnose things live on air. While I'm doing this, Noor says, wait, can you hear me? I can hear you. While I'm doing this, I encourage all of you to grab the latest update to Adobe XD. XD30 came out today, and it includes multiple flows. And once we get Kate's audio going, then we'll be able to wire her in here, and she'll be able to show some of that stuff. But for now, I'm not sure what's going on. So I'm going to hop over. I can hear you, yeah. But for some reason, your audio is not coming through. It must be on my end. If I can hear you, then it must be on my end. Okay, let me see. Well, there you go. This is fun. Okay, I'm going to hop over to my screen just for a second so I can diagnose something. And while I'm doing that, Discord. Head over to Discord, and we are going to be taking a look at daily challenges, and in about an hour and a half. So be sure to check that out. And hold on, let me see. Okay, Paco is sending me messages, so maybe we'll fix this live on air. Dance party, yes. So Val's going to host a dance party while we're waiting, and there you go. Okay, hold on, everyone. We will figure this out. Let's see. So I have that. That looks good. This is the first time I think this has happened just like this. Oh, you know what? Let's try this. Okay, I think that may have done something. Okay, Kate, go ahead and talk.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Oh, I see bars. Okay, I think we might be good. It'll be about 15 seconds of awkwardness until the chat screams it's working or something to that effect, but I do see bars on my end, so we might be good to go. So we're going to go through this awkward phase right now. Oh, Paco says yay. Yes,
Yay!
Audio is fixed.
All right, cool. You guys can
hear
me. Sweet.
All right, so that was awkward and that was fun. I've never been more nervous in my entire life, but we figured it out. And this is why I love the community. They're just so friendly, and they don't just jump down our throats and, storm out of here. So we've wasted enough time. I'm going to pass it over to you, Kate, and tell us all about who you are and what you did yesterday and anything else you want to discuss.
Yeah, totally. All right. Hi, guys. So glad you can hear me. My name's Kate Kassab. I'm a visual designer here in San Diego. If you'd like to find me on any social channels or check out some of my work, you can go to www.katekassab.com and find all that good stuff. A little bit about my background. I started actually in development. I went to a code boot camp for full stack JavaScript, and was set on developing websites. But as soon as I started developing them, I fell in love with design, UI, UX, and everything about it. So then I jumped over to work more on web design, and I carried a little bit of a visual background as well before I started code. So things just sort of started to fall into place for me. And that's where I found myself at MindTouch. So MindTouch is a SaaS company here in downtown San Diego. We focus on knowledge management and making sure people can find answers when they need it, where they need it, across all different avenues.
Nice. So what kind of projects do you work on over there?
Yeah, so I'm a product designer at MindTouch, so I lead different features across our base product as well as our different integrations with Salesforce, SAP, and different partners like that. So if you guys want to learn more about MindTouch, go check them out at www.mindtouch.com. Been with MindTouch for about 3 years now, and this is the first time I'm announcing this, but before I get to that, here's the team. Those are our lovely faces.
Oh, this is so fun.
Yeah, so this was Luau Day. There's me, me. And this is what we look like now, right? Because the world is in a pandemic, everything's remote. Again, me with my giant cup of coffee.
I'm surprised you're not wearing the luau's and all that fun stuff in this Zoom shot.
I know, we should definitely dress up for Zoom calls. I think that would break the Zoom monotony that can happen sometimes.
Yeah.
Love these people, love this company. This is the first time I'm announcing this, which is super weird for me. But I'm actually accepting another position at Webstacks. So this was a hard decision for me to make, but truly in my heart, I love web design, app design, everything about it. So at Webstacks, they're all about modernizing brands. Let me pull up the website. Bringing brands into the 21st century. So here I'm going to get to work more on web design, work and focus on accessibility, lead conversion on marketing sites, all that fun stuff.
That's exciting.
Yeah, super, super pumped. So
everyone in the chat, put little clapping hands for Kate's new position. Or like the little confetti thing or some sort of fun emoji. Put it in the chat. Show Kate some love.
Yeah. Better yet, put your favorite emoji. Mine is the caterpillar emoji. It's the best.
That's a fun one.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about me, who I am, what I'm doing. So let's jump into what we tackled yesterday.
Yeah.
And what we're going to be building today. All right, so Good Place is a mobile application that is essentially a social media app, but only for the good news. Val says like 10 clap emojis. Thank you, Val. Jack says donut emoji.
Of course.
That's a good one. Sorry, I'm just seeing all these emojis come in and I'm getting distracted.
There's a peach emoji. That's always fun.
Peach emoji. I love it. Keep it coming, guys. Keep it coming. But yeah, so Good Place is a mobile application, like news app. And the idea behind it is in social media right now, we're seeing a lot of bad news, right? There's a lot going on in the world. And I wanted to create an app that really puts all the attention on the good that's happening in the world, because there's a lot of good that's happening, I believe, but we're just not really seeing it because media chooses to focus on what's going to get clicks or views or coverage. So, I mean, it is what it is.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
one thing that did come out today that is probably the best news of the week is the pumpkin spice latte is back. I just had to throw that out there. I had to make a trip this morning to get one, and all is good in the world. I wish it was that simple, though.
I have a confession to make. I don't believe I've ever had the pumpkin spice latte.
All right. Well, Kate is officially. How do I get rid of Kate? No, I can't do this. This doesn't work.
Blocked. Never invited back.
There we go. You are now off my screen.
No.
No one can see you. Okay.
I bet some of our viewers have never had either. Like, come on, back me up, guys. Who
I'm
else
sure,
has not
probably.
had the pumpkin spice?
It's definitely an acquired taste. I enjoy it though, especially since it's a few months of the year. It's just seasonal. It's actually one of the things that brought me back to coffee. I quit coffee somehow for about a year and a half. And then the pumpkin spice latte came back, and it just sucked me right back in.
Okay, well, what I'm gonna do is right after this stream, I'm gonna drive to Starbucks, get a pumpkin spice latte, and I will give you my full honest review.
We need a live stream.
Hour-long stream of me just drinking the pumpkin spice latte. I love it.
We do have Mayan. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but someone in the chat is working on a UI accessibility kit for Adobe XD. I would love to keep in touch with you because I'm a big proponent of accessibility. You know, I know Kat Noon very well, and she creates the Stark plugin, and I think anything we can do to further promote accessibility in design would be wonderful. So maybe tweet it at me when you're finished, or when you're close to finish. If you'd like someone to take a look, tweet it at me. I can also put you in touch with Kat if you are working on something in the realm of accessibility. And I would love to see how this develops.
Yeah, me as well. That sounds amazing. So I'm gonna keep my eye on that one. Okay, well, I think we can keep the talk going about pumpkin spice lattes and UI accessibility kits. I love it. But let's jump into the design system for Good Place, right? So if you didn't have a chance to watch yesterday, there are a few different screens here. The idea behind the design system, I wanted to create a directory of sorts. And so let's say I share this with some stakeholders, and that specific stakeholder is really only interested in like the story of Good Place. So really quick, they can get a synopsis of the story, our values, and our mission. Which, I mean, to just name a few, I think being that we are an app or a news app that promotes kindness, it's obvious that we want to practice that kindness, be our authentic selves, be a catalyst for change, and lead by example. And really, like, boil it all down, our mission is to just make people smile. That's all I'm looking to do. I just want to make people smile and make people feel good.
I love that. And one thing that makes me smile are these amazing illustrations and icons that you're using. And remind everyone in the chat, especially for those who weren't here yesterday, where did you get those?
Yeah, definitely. So let me pull it up really quick, actually. These are all from Shapes.so. I think my internet's a little bit laggy right now since we're streaming. But essentially, if you were to download Shapes.so, you're not only getting icons, you're getting animated icons, you're getting illustrations, and you're getting animated illustrations. And you can export everything to SVG, PNG, PDF. You get a lot of control, right? You can even change the colors. So if any of you guys are interested, I'll put the link in the chat. Shape.so, go check it out. And it's not acting as a link because I'm silly and didn't put www.
That's okay. Val's got it.
Thank you. Val's got my back.
Yeah, and recently they started launching a beta version of Shape.so that I've been playing around with, and it's a really nice, clean interface. So they're working on a really, really cool stuff behind the scenes that's going to improve this even more.
Right. And what I love about it too is the search capabilities too, because we see these in plugins for XD, which is awesome, but it's just an interface that we're used to. So if I need something for security, right? So it live updates as I'm typing, and then you can still filter within that search. And there's so much to look at, right? There's icons for everything you could ever possibly need. Nice. So that's where the bulk of the icons and illustrations are from today. Shape.so, go give it some love. Let's dive a little bit into the visual style that we're going to be working with today. So this is the color palette we're working with. Notice they have interesting names, right? Like, I don't think anyone would really name their colors this. But the reason behind it is this app is really focused on the philosophy of happiness, even though that sounds really cheesy, and kindness. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted that to be reflected in our colors. And so they all have different meanings. So like ex animo is from the heart, ex nihilo is created from nothing. But something I do want to call out over in our assets panel over here. So coming from that development background, if a designer gave me this file and named our orange this humanitas, I would be like, wait, what color is that again? Like, I would not understand. Right. So it is so important to make sure that we're naming our colors to be kind to our developers. They understand primary orange and secondary gray, much better than Candidus, right?
Yeah, it's a good message. Be kind to your developers, and I think there's often a disconnect between designers and developers. They don't often talk to each other as much as they should, and I think it's incredibly important for that communication to keep going so that the developers know what the designers are doing and are capable of, and vice versa. And even down to something as simple as, color names, I think can go a really long way in that process.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that XD recently released, correct me if I speak to this incorrectly, but when you're showing for developer mode now, you can actually export all of these as their own values too in the actual code. So they're bringing over this as a, it's not called value, what is it called?
Design token.
I knew I would forget this. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Design tokens. So pretty cool stuff. And then I want to call out these little ripples that you're seeing throughout the design. Stylistically, they look pretty cool. But the reason I wanted to go with this is because I think that the ripple effect is very real, and essentially what that is, like if I'm kind to Howard and do something nice for Howard, maybe Howard would be motivated to go and be nice to Juan or Noor or Val. And I just think that the world needs kindness right now. So
I'll be kind as long as they don't ask for dark mode in XD.
Yeah, don't get me started on dark mode. I feel like if I'm honest, it could get messy. I'm not the biggest fan of dark mode.
I'm gonna have to remove you again from the screen.
I know, I'm not.
You don't like pumpkin spice lattes. You don't like dark mode. What is happening today?
You're just like gonna cut the stream early and
I think
never
so.
Invite me back.
I think we're having audio issues with Kate again. I think I'm just going to have to boot her out and just take over.
Are you being honest? Are you just finding a reason to boot me?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure, because that is a very real possibility with my audio lately. Okay, so this is what we're working with today. You get a sense of our color palette, our visual styles. I saw someone in the chat ask where I got these character illustrations from. And so if you go into shape.so, go to illustration, and then I think I did like the people series. You can find all of those in there.
Yeah, I also did see somebody, Juan is asking, what's the reason the orange color should not be used as a button or call to action? Isn't it an attracting color?
Oh, so okay, we're gonna get into it in a little bit, but we are using that orange as our primary CTA color, primary CTA color.
Yeah, and I think orange is okay if the rest of the application also kind of follows that orange color. You have to be careful with some colors though, specifically red. We talked about red a lot yesterday, but red sometimes, in addition to what we were talking about with anger yesterday, red often indicates an error. So if the button itself is red or like bright red, then it might tell the user something's wrong with this the fields that they're supposed to be filling out or something to that extent. Orange is probably fine in this situation, but red you probably want to avoid.
Mm-hmm. So I actually have a funny story about red really quick. So my current company, MindTouch, right? So our primary color is red. And it's a great primary color to have, but you have to walk that fine line of, for example, when we send our emails out, let's say someone signed up for our newsletter and they're getting a confirmation email that they signed up for our newsletter, and we want to make the button to go to the blog red, or we have like a banner color at the top of each email template that's red. And so initially when you open it, you're like, whoa, what did I do wrong? And so we have to be cognizant of color and when to use it and how to use it. And I think if you spend just a little time every day, study color, understand how color works, understand not only the philosophy of it, but good ways to improve color contrast and good complementary colors, and understand the color wheel.
Absolutely. We do have Cornell in the chat saying, employers want UI and UX designers at least 3 years of experience. Where did you get your experience and how did you get your first job as a designer?
Ooh, okay, this is a really fun story. Mine is not traditional. So I am a self-taught designer. Growing up, I never thought that college was an option for me. I simply put didn't have the funds or the grades. And so I do think that being able to attend a university or a design school or any art school, it is somewhat of a privilege because it costs a lot of money and a lot of us don't have that money. And so what I did instead was I worked for a few years retail to try to save money. And then I actually started doing freelance design because I've always been a huge Photoshop nerd and would just mess around and break things in Photoshop. And so I started taking on clients where I could, right? Like they would start as family friends or Fiverr or Upwork, which are great if you're looking to freelance. I think that they're a little bit, they could just be more utilized. And so anyways, did some freelance. I was working retail, going to community college because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And then one day it hit me that I was only going to community college to make other people happy. And so I actually dropped out and quit my job and attended a code boot camp where I learned full stack JavaScript because I've always loved the web and code and designing. And so I'm like, this makes sense for me. And so through that boot camp, after I graduated, I landed an internship here in San Diego at another tech company. Interned for them for a while, and my manager was so amazing that she saw that I had that more visual eye and that desire to design. And so she let me do more design projects, and I actually got to design a whole bunch of like print assets for one of the biggest tech mingling events in San Diego. And I mean, really it's about having the courage and positioning yourself and working really, really hard. Like for those few years, I did sacrifice sleep and a social life and spend all of my time watching YouTube and in design tools and all of that. And so eventually I found myself at MindTouch. I was actually interviewing for a code position, and the marketing team came in, saw my design skills, and they're like, we want you to be a visual designer. This makes more sense for you. And so I've been with MindTouch for about 3 years. And throughout that time, I've grown from a visual designer to a product designer, which I feel like isn't the most, it's strange because they're two very different occupations. One is very design centric and visual and colors, and the other one is completely research. It's research, it's testing, it's analyzing the market, it's a lot of different things. But that is a very long-winded answer to your question.
I love it though. And Val in the chat jumped in, she said literally my story too. And I think a lot of us kind of fall into that as well. You know, for me in particular, I went to college, but I never finished. I went for 3D animation, and you know, life takes you on different paths. I went into marketing at some point, and then through that, you know, I got into UI and UX, and you know, Photoshop I've been doing for ages, but you know, never thought I would land on this path of the whole UI and UX thing. But I think a lot of designers go through that. They want to do one thing, they go to school for that, they realize maybe it's not for them. And I think a big part of it is the actual school itself could drive people away. You know, my wife, for example, went to school for art and illustration, and because that particular school wasn't very supportive, there were a lot of issues going on, it was crazy expensive, it really, you know, pushed her away from that whole world. So I think that happens quite often.
Yeah, and it's really motivating to hear because at least when I was growing up, they pushed the idea of college so much, right? Every time you talk to a counselor, it's like, oh, what college do you want to go to?
Yeah.
What do you want to major? And it was never what career do you want? And so I think that hopefully we see education change for the better in the coming years. And I think the next generation is so smart in understanding that there's more to life than just university, even though university is also an excellent option.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's sad to say, but I think this whole COVID situation is going to show, hopefully, that education doesn't have to be in person all the time. It doesn't have to be insanely expensive. We might be seeing a shift. You know, it's unfortunately taking a pandemic to do it, but I think over the next few years, possibly it might take a little bit longer, but we may start to see that happen.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be super exciting to see and very interesting to watch develop as well, because we've been used to in-person school forever, right?
Yeah.
So we're part of a huge cultural change, guys. Okay, so Yaya says, very interesting story. We should keep hustling. That's the spirit. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Ooh, and even Stefan, he trained as a biochemist. Now he works in IT as a business and data analyst. See, so we all have these really cool stories of like courage and pivots and finding what's best for us. I love it.
Yep.
Okay, so some exciting stuff to talk about in XD today. We, like Howard talked about, we have the newest release of Adobe XD, which includes flows. So I think a perfect way to intro that is, this is what we worked on yesterday, right? So we have a splash page that leads to a sign-up experience. And I wanted to break out these fields to make it a more conversational experience. Having some problem with the text there, but we're just going to look past that. It happens. There was our sign-up experience. And then at the end of the stream yesterday, let me turn this on really quick. We designed a homepage. So we got the good word going on. And I know yesterday at the end of the stream, we were trying to decide like what to put a spotlight on. And Adobe Creative Residency is actually doing this amazing thing right now where they have a $1 million fund to help artists during this time.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested, I don't know, maybe Val, you have the link. If not, I will find it. But go read about it. Go find out how to get involved. Really cool thing for them to do.
Yeah, it's a fantastic program. And, in the past years, we've had the Creative Residency where we brought in, about a dozen or so actual creative residents. And, that was it. It was a fantastic program, and they produced some amazing things. Andrea Hawk came out of that. A lot of different fantastic designers, photographers from different areas. But this year, because of everything going on, we are extending it to basically everybody. So if you're in a weird situation because of COVID and maybe you got laid off or whatever it might be, and you're looking to kickstart a project or explore your creativity, there's $1 million up for the taking. Not per person, that'd be great. But you can get a grant anywhere from $500 to $1,000, which can definitely go a long way. So go to the link Val posted and read up all about it.
Definitely. And thank you, Val, for posting that link. I appreciate you. All right, so the good word is essentially our most featured news, where it's like a blog article that you can swipe to read. Featured good news acts as like if you guys have ever had Snapchat or Instagram, these are more stories. So like you can scroll through them, you can click them, and then they open up and they're more of like a visual story. And then down here, we designed this with the last 10 or so minutes yesterday, but community news. And so the idea with Good Place is that, yes, you can look at news stories on a global scale, but also during the onboarding process, you can enable your location so Good Place knows, which neighborhood you're in, what state you're in. And then I haven't decided if it's going to be within like a 20 to 30 mile radius or what, but it's basically a social component that's limited to like your neighborhood. So for example, in this example, myself, Howard, Val, and Jack Watson, we're all in San Francisco. And so it's all just good news that's going on in the community, because I think as the years have gone by, it's become less about community and neighborhoods and more, everyone's super independent, and I'm guilty of this. Like everyone's so focused on what they're doing and what they want and what their goals are, and we forget to look at the people around us. And I think people, family, friends, neighbors, they're really important. And so I hope that this app brings back that sense for community.
Yeah, it almost sounds like a nice version of Nextdoor. I don't know if you use Nextdoor at all in your neighborhood, but I've used it in several neighborhoods, and essentially it's like a social media app that's just for the neighborhood that you live in. You have to verify your address and all this stuff, but definitely over the last few years, it's gotten just crazier and crazier. I opened it up earlier today, and like people literally down the street are posting conspiracy theories about things, and it's so weird to see people that you just can walk out your door and just look down the street, and it's like these I don't want to get into things, but being able to have something like this that's just good news would be amazing. I would buy that. I would just like subscribe to it for like $10 a month.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I've never personally used Nextdoor, but my family does. And whenever they talk about it, it's always the bad news of like, oh, this neighbor's doing that, and oh, that darn neighbor over there. So yeah, I hear you. Okay, so we got our homepage, we got our sign up experience going on, and today we're going to focus on the onboarding experience. But with Adobe XD releasing its new flows capability, figure we'll go ahead and show how that works really quick. So our sign up experience is completely ready to go. It's ready to send off for development. We're just going to imagine that this has been signed off by, if this ever grows to like more than myself and people all agree that it's good and we want to take it to development. What I want to do is in prototype mode, I want to select this button right here. It's the home icon. And then notice now we get flow 1 above it. That's brand new. And what we can do is we can name this landing page flow. And it's already all wired up. And so now when I go to prototype, when I go to share mode, check this out. So now it's only selecting these flows. And since I'm going to be sharing this with my development team, I can go ahead and select that it's for development, include all the downloadable assets. And I can't stress how important that little checkbox is, because if you didn't check that and you just sent that off to your developers, each of these images they would not have, each of these icons they would not have. And I've had that happen to me in the past when I'm working with design files and it's like, then I have to send an email like, please give me what I need. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And it's just like extra time and it's just, yeah. So make sure you click that checkbox. You can give it a password if you want it to have a password, only invited people. Anyone with the link is just fine. And this is exporting for iOS, which is exactly what we want. Create that link. Wait for the link to finish processing.
Yeah, then there's the awkward wait again. But what's really cool about this multiple flows feature is, in addition, and Kate's going to show this, in addition to the landing page, you can also have this onboarding flow. You can have a flow for your design system. You can have one for a web view, a mobile view, all within the same document. And as you click on the different labels that Kate just created, it actually selects all the artboards that are wired up, which is great because you don't have to worry about like scrambling to figure out which artboard should be wired up and which one is not wired up. It just automatically selects them all. And even though, you can see the one at the top there, it's not in the same horizontal pane as the other ones, but it's still selected, which is great.
Yeah. And one of my favorite features, guys, look at this. Look at it go. Now we don't have to like drag, click or shift click. We've defined this flow and now I get this whole chunk. And if I wanted to, I could export, these selected artboards, which is great. But like Howard was saying, we can have multiple flows, right? So let's say I also want an onboarding low fidelity version that maybe I want to do some user testing with. So let's name this this is so hard because my keyboard is right beneath my mic. And so I'm like, where am I typing? Look, I typed mic. Onboarding flow, low fi. So we got that one. And then let's make a quick homepage flow. Even though it's just one artboard, I just want to have, let's define our flows now. So homepage flow. Yaya says, interesting, right? This is gonna improve our workflow so much. And then lastly, let's make a flow for our design system here.
So Cornell is asking an interesting question. Can you create a flow inside of a flow? So I believe you can, and I know you can definitely link to other flows from a flow. So if Kate wanted to do the onboarding flow, for example, that second one there, and then maybe at the end of it have a link that goes to the landing page flow, the more high fidelity flow. She can definitely do that. And so yeah, I believe you can kind of do something like that.
So like, for example, since this button will lead right into the onboarding flow, I could, create an interaction for this button, right? Default state, when it's tapped, let's just say transition for now because I didn't wire it up for animation. But transition to onboarding. And so now technically are those flows, so these flows are now linked. So you can flow inside of flow.
Fun times.
Fun times. Okay, cool. So for this stream, I want to focus on taking this low fidelity mock that I've made and creating it in high fidelity. So this is what I've got going on so far, and I would love your guys' feedback. Howard, do you think I could share with them the flow link where they could leave comments within the XD file?
Yeah.
Do you think that would be better than chat, or do you think we should just do it in the chat?
You share it. See what happens.
All right, we're gonna be experimental, guys. Okay.
Make sure to be nice in the link.
Please. Okay, so I have my flow here. Looks good. Let's share it for design review. You guys, this is like the most design review on the biggest scale ever. Okay, so I won't password protect you guys. Anyone can read it. Cool, great link.
Yeah, and there are a few, if anyone's interested, there are a few other presets inside of the Share Properties Inspector. Design Review is probably one of the most popular ones, but one of them that I use quite often is the user testing flow, which essentially disables hotspot hints and also navigation controls. So if you're putting this specific flow in the hands of users that you want to test, then they won't be able to cheat by just kind of skipping screens. You really want them to fail and make sure that the flow that you're presenting to them actually works. So Kate put in the link in the chat. Everyone hop in there, give some constructive feedback, and Kate's going to keep an eye on it.
Yeah. I will say, if you are happening to be watching on YouTube, make sure you jump over to Behance, because we're not going to see anything that you leave in the chat unless you're on Behance. So just a little friendly reminder there. Okay, so while you guys are giving me some feedback, really what I'm looking for is, does this flow make sense to you? Is there anything that you notice could be better? Just general stuff. In the meantime, I don't know if I want to jump into high fidelity, and not that they're leaving me reviews. Maybe we could at least get the structure going.
Sure.
Okay. So in the meantime, let's go ahead and do this. I'm just going to duplicate it. We're going to save ourselves some time on the stream. Really quick, if you guys are looking for some mobile UI elements, Adobe XD offers these amazing kits that include things like you get your iPhone frame, and they're always, I believe you guys are updating it with like the latest versions of iPhones as well, so it's always recent. And then keyboards, so that's pretty cool. But in the meantime, let's go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but how do you typically handle your low fidelity and high fidelity flows? Do you usually keep the low fidelity flows visible at all times, or do you kind of evolve those low fidelity flows into high fidelity when the time is right?
So it always depends on who I'm working with. If this file is only going to be for me, myself, and I, and no one else is ever going to open it, I do like to see or leave the progression in there and see the different iterations. However, if you're working with a design team and there's multiple of you in there, I would suggest taking the low fidelity versions, which once you guys are like all signed off on moving to the next phase, and I usually would make an archive project, an archive XD project, and then put all of my other, like my low fidelity and my other iterations in that file, because I find that if you leave them all in one file, it can get confusing. But at the same time, XD gives you this huge canvas. And so if you wanted to like make a little corner down here for like past iterations and keep everything in one file, you can do that. I find either works just as well.
Yeah, and one other feature you can utilize, and I think a lot of people either don't realize it exists or completely forgot, because sometimes I forget too, is versioning. So if you are working with cloud documents, if you click on the little down arrow beside the file name at the top, you can actually set a version. So if you're at the point where you're finished your low fidelity flows and you just want to save it and then evolve those low fidelity into high fidelity, you can mark a version. And it basically just keeps it there in the cloud. If you need to revisit it or just take a peek at those low fidelity flows at some point, you can always just jump back to that specific version.
Whoa, this is so cool. This is actually news to me. I did not know this. How would I mark this?
So if you have to expand the today section by clicking on the arrow. And then if you click on, there you go. So it basically saves it incrementally. So if you do lose something or you delete something by mistake, or you're working with other people who delete something, which happens quite often, you can always jump back in time, kind of like Time Machine on the Mac, and just pull those elements back in.
Whoa, this is super cool.
Yeah.
So in that case, guys, you should just do this. No point in having like an extra XD file and, save yourself the megabytes and just have them all in the cloud. It's so convenient. Cool. Let's check that link really quick. See what people are saying. More boba, please. Howard Pinsky says.
Very important.
Very cool. Noor says, when you select an avatar to save a click, can we jump directly to the next screen? So that is an excellent point, Noor. So I know that I haven't really showed you guys this flow yet, but what's going on is each of these images is going to be an avatar. And so when you tap it, you'll notice this little thingy appear to just tell you that that's the targeted state, that's what you selected, and then you can click looks good and go to the next screen. But what Nora is saying, could we just save a step and click this and just progress? Short answer, yes, but if you were to do it that way, I would suggest on the next screen maybe having like verification of the icon somewhere, because I like to move really quickly through apps, and so maybe I accidentally pressed an avatar that I didn't want, and while you can always change it later, it's more effort that way. So you want the user to be sure that they've selected the right user avatar. So yeah, I think Noor, that's a great point and it makes total sense, but I think for the flow that we're trying to work with in the structure, we're just gonna keep it as is.
Yeah, and this also goes back to user testing. If you get this into the hands of users and that seems to be the consensus that they want to be able to just tap on it and go to the next screen, then that might be something to explore. Or if it's the opposite, you do have that functionality where they tap and go right to the next screen, and then you find users are trying to go back to select a different avatar, for example. Because some people do like to just tap on all the different avatars and just kind of see which one they want to select. Then you can adjust the flow accordingly. We do have someone in the chat saying, where can I get iPhone elements for Windows? So same location. So if you go to the file menu, and if on Windows it's under the little hamburger menu over to the left, you can download the DMG from Apple's resources. Now, in order to open the DMG on Windows, I believe you have to use the application 7-zip. I think that opens it, and you'll be able to grab that XD file.
Okay. I'm going to just finish replying to these comments here. Cornell had a great idea about sliding the avatar library to the bottom with the top three visible, and then enlarge the chosen one and move it to the center. I think that's a great idea. I think it would really put emphasis on those three avatars, but we have a lot of avatars to get through. I think I chose 21. And so if we're working with only being able to see 3 at a time and you have to swipe through all, ultimately it would be 7 different screens, not screens, but 7 different motions. If I'm understanding you correctly, it just might be too high effort, but I love the idea. It would put emphasis on the avatars. Let's choose one last one. Joe says, I think I should be able to skip the avatar selection. In fact, the whole onboarding process. So this is valuable, right? Like this is exactly why we want a user test, because here I thought that it would be a great idea to make sure that the user understands, has that verification that they've selected the right avatar. It looks good to me. But now when I actually put it in front of users, they're telling me the opposite thing, where they're like, that's cool, but it would save me time to just be able to skip that. So
Yep.
this is why user testing is so important, you guys.
Absolutely.
Cool. Yazir says cool. Thank you, Yazir. Okay, so that was fun. That was really cool. Thank you guys so much for your feedback.
And I love those, going back to those avatars. Those are super fun and super cute. I know you talked about them yesterday, the toy faces. If anyone does need, some sort of like multicultural, very 3D cute avatars, definitely check that out.
Yeah. That is actually the perfect segue into the next part of this, because we're designing the high fidelity mockup, right? And so what do we need for high fidelity mockups? Imagery.
Yeah.
So like Howard was just saying, these are the avatars that we're going to be working with in this design. And you're probably thinking like, why don't you just let people upload their own? Like that's what every other social app does. That's what's expected. And the reason I don't want to do that is because this social app in entirety, it's a social app, but it isn't a social app because you can post, but I don't want there to be any likes or comments on anything, which I know probably sounds really weird. Quick pivot to this. Notice how you can read what people are saying, but there's no ability to engage. And like I talked about yesterday, the reason for that is because I don't want people bragging about the good deeds that they do in order to gain likes or a following. Like that's not why we should be doing nice things, Be nice to be a kind person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would actually love your guys' help with this. There's all these different icons. I thought it could be fun if people in the chat gave me a random number between 1 and 70. And then I'll pick a few of them, and those will be the avatars that we run with. So
yeah, so throw those in the chat.
Random numbers, except for number 49 is taken. I don't know if he's here today, but 49 is taken by Kevin Lee. I've already selected that one for him from yesterday. So go ahead, give us some numbers. In the meantime, let's do some designing, you guys. So what I did is I just copy pasted, or actually I duplicated the artboard with Control or Command D. So by doing that, I can duplicate, which is great. I want to turn these iPhone elements off because then I could actually easily click into things. Like Howard mentioned, though, if you hold Alt or Control, if you hold Control or Command and then click, it'll allow you to get what's nested within it much easier.
Yeah.
So you can also do that as well.
So we do have a lot of numbers coming in, but we also have Yaya in the chat asking, what's better to use, a cartoon avatar or real people's faces? Does it make a difference? And I think, Kate can talk to this as well, but I think for me, it depends on the situation. Something like this, the cartoon faces work really well because they're not actual people. They're just completely random people. And if you're trying to avoid having people's actual faces and people being able to upload their own profile pictures, then something like a cartoon face works perfectly. But of course, if you're working with like a Facebook style or Twitter style application, then probably people's faces might work better.
Definitely. I totally agree with you because like Howard said, it's really dependent on what you're building. So I would say in cases where maybe the scenario is more playful, or it has no impact whether they're real people or cartoons or not.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so what we're gonna do here, as you guys are giving me your numbers, I want to give you guys ample time to get those submissions in. Actually, let's make this, I think 80 might be too big. Maybe we go 70. No, maybe we go 80. Let's see. What I'm going to be doing here is, so you guys saw that grid up here, but I want to just recreate it really quick for you because the way that XD allows you to work with multiple or like mass image drop-in is awesome. So this is going to be our avatar, and then I'm going to Command or Control C, Command or Control V. Oh, wrong one. That was our link from earlier. And then this is going to be gradient, because in our low fidelity version, when you select something, you're going to have a circle behind it that becomes bigger. And I think a gradient could be really cool for that. And then let's name this avatar. So grouping those two circles together. And next up, handy dandy repeat grid. Boop.
Yes.
I remember this time.
I was waiting for that.
And so as we drag these circles out, let me turn my grid on really quick. So we are working with an 8-point grid with 6 columns. And so as I'm defining the spacing here, I know that I can only work with multiples of 8. So I can either do 16 or I could do, I'm really bad at math. Is it 24?
Yeah, 24, I think 32,
yeah.
40, 48.
Okay. So here's 24. Here's 32. What do we want to do here? Let's do 32. And then put that repeat grid up there. And then we also want to make sure this is like 24. That's fine. And then drag this on out. We want to make sure there's 21. So 3 columns, 7 rows. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We need one more. 7. And then I want to make sure this is the same. So this is, we decided on 32. Let's make this 32. And this is where I'm like, maybe 24 would be better. This is design, guys. This is just what we got to deal with. Thank you for your numbers, by the way. I will get to those in just a second. That'll be really fun.
There's a ton of numbers. And we have Newer in the chat asking, what if I'm not cool? Do we have not cool people avatars just to make it more fun? You are cool, Newer.
Wait, who said that?
Newer.
You're not allowed to come in here and say you're not cool. You're all cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next I'm gonna group all of those and just call it avatars, plural, and then we have our repeat grid with our avatar and gradient. Cool. So now I get to use all of the lovely numbers you've sent in. Let me scroll up in the chat a little bit. And maybe, Howard, if you could help me and call some out as well, that would be perfect, because we got a lot to work with here.
Go up to the top. Okay, so we have, I think the first number that came in was 14.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is there's, oops, not what I wanted. Come back. Okay, so here's our good place. Would you guys want me to talk about file and folder structure? Like how I do that? Would that be valuable to you guys? Let me know. Okay, so we got 14. Bam. Actually, let me copy paste that. We got
7.
We're gonna maybe do like 7 of these, and then I'm just gonna mass drag in some more, but.
Yeah. 43.
43.
56.
56.
22.
Oh, that was 59. Sorry.
Oh. 22.
22.
And we have 8. 65.
Russian said 8. Thank you, Russian. And thank you, Maine, for 75. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. Okay, 65. 15. Okay, we're gonna stop there. But thank you for your submissions. You guys are amazing. Look at all these wonderful. Okay, so we got 1, 2. We got 9. I lied. Let's do one more. 10. 22 from Dawn. Thank you, Dawn. Wait, didn't we already have? We already have 22. Okay, no worries, Dawn. Let's go 23. No, those two look too similar. We want to give a diverse bunch. Let's do
77. Cornell says 77.
77. Is there a 77? I think I gave you guys until 70. Let's do 70.
And Julia says, this reminds me of bingo.
It kind of does, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so we have 10. We need 21. So let's do 11 more. Let's just drag in some random ones. This is where I should have dragged them in, because now it's going to be like, you have a duplicate of this one. Let's do... see if there's any duplicates. So I just need to choose one more. Cool. All right, so here's our 21 avatars. Thank you again for all your help. We can close this window now. Why does that look like more than 21? I don't know. We'll find out. And there we go.
Fancy.
Boom. Look at, that was so easy. That saved me a lot of time.
Yeah, and if you do need to use text files as well, or at least add text layers into your repeat grids, you can also drag in a plain text document, and it will fill in. So if all these little avatars had names associated with them, you can fill that in as well in the repeat grid.
Yeah, and what's really easy about that too is I just used Google Docs, and I did that yesterday on our stream. And you can use any text editor. Just make sure it's a TXT file, text file. Mm-hmm. I would show it, but it would mess up because I think if I dragged it right here, what would happen? Yeah, I would just do the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good way to work with text files. So here's all of our avatars, but this is where we want to make sure that we're using a component because we have that different state of the default state and then the targeted state. So what I'm gonna do is I have my repeat grid here. We dragged in our images. Let's turn off the repeat grid.
It's a big decision, isn't it? What you could also do if you really want to keep the structure of the repeat grid is you can make just the gradient a component. That way you still have the ability to drag in bulk images if you need to replace them later.
Oh, would that still work if I wanted it to grow? So like when I tapped on this icon, like I need it to like trigger somehow to move to the gradient growing. Would that still work if I did it that way?
If you put the gradient in, let's see.
Yeah.
It might work. I mean, of course, because you're using a repeat grid, there's that mask around it. So if you were to grow the gradient, it would kind of get cut off by the mask. But
right.
Yeah. So maybe you might want to break the grid.
Okay.
There's a few ways to do it.
Yeah, Howard has a good point. If you can keep that repeat grid enabled, I highly suggest you do, because what this means for us now is like I can no longer go in and adjust the spacing between things. I lose that ability to drag in mass images. So you want to only break a repeat grid if and when you really, really have to do it. Okay, so here we have our folder. We can actually remove that. We have our folder of avatars here, and I want to make this whole folder a component. So here we are with our component with all of our avatars inside, and let's give it our targeted state. So name this targeted. And then what we want to do is find our first avatar, grow the gradient just a little bit. This is where I would love your guys' opinion, because when I first thought of doing this, I thought I would use a linear gradient and then do the light blue to the dark blue and play with that a little bit. But now as I'm looking at it, I think orange might be better. What do you think, Howard?
Possibly. I mean, orange was a little bit muddy with the pink of that specific avatar, but it is the highlight color of this application, so it may make sense. There might be an orange, maybe a little bit of a gradiented orange that you could play around with. Another thing you can possibly do is, if you want to get a little bit more in depth, is, in addition, if you just want a solid orange back there, you can put a very slight white border around the actual avatar. That way there's a little bit of separation so it's not so muddy.
I like that. Okay, guys, we're going to Control Z our way back to safety, back to where we're working with the repeat grid so we can affect all of them. I don't know what I would do without Control Z. Do you guys? Okay, so what Howard is saying is give the avatar itself a white border, just like that. Let's try 2, but 2 might be too thick. There's only one way to find out. Really quick, I did see Annabelle said Averta. Yes, Averta is what we're using. It's also my favorite font. Thank you, Annabelle. Someone else said, how do you get those the icons? And that was on me. I completely forgot to show you guys. But if you guys like the avatar icons we're using today, they're by this amazing designer. His name's Amarit, and he made what's called the Toy Face Library. So what I love about his collection is not only is each avatar so colorful and playful, but they're all diverse. which is something that we should definitely be practicing in our designs.
Mm-hmm.
He offers, I think, the standard package for $10, or you can get the extended license for $60. But what that allows you to do is you can actually put it in your mobile applications if you ever took it to the App Store or published it. But if you're just looking to play with them, $10, go check him out. And if you guys want to give him some love, he is on Behance as well.
Nice.
So
and that fourth guy had a rainbow
Behance.
beard. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
Right? And like a unibrow, I love it. They're so different and they just make me happy.
Mm-hmm.
He also does some 3D design, which I think is so dope. Like, look at this cube. It's beautiful.
That's a great looking cube.
Right. All right. That's Amrit. Again, 3D faces, toy faces. Go check them out. All right. Where we left off, we were adding a border to make things less muddy, which I think is a great suggestion. We're going to break our repeat grid again. Goodbye, repeat grid. This avatars, move that out of its parent folder. And then we're going to make this a component with controller command K. And the reason I'm making this whole thing a component is my idea here is I know that the flow, it only really matters to me that I show that I pick the first one to proceed. If I wanted to get fancy with it, I could make this selected one. And then I can make another one like selected. This is where naming is tricky. Should I just name it selected 2 if it's
probably.
like the 6th one down? Okay. So selected 1, selected 2. With our selected 1 state selected, we're gonna go to our avatar down here, grab our gradient, zoom in so we can see it. We're gonna see him pop out. I think that looks stellar. That looks really good.
That looks pretty good.
Let's run with orange. Okay, so there's that. And then what we want to do is go back. So there's our default state, selected 1, selected 2. Let's make it this middle one. And we're just going to do the same thing. This gradient, pull that out. I should probably make sure these are the same width and height. Let's link it by using the little lock there and just 90. Oh no, I forgot it doesn't resize from the middle. I can change that, right? Maybe not.
Sort of. If you resize it and then you select both of the objects, you can align them using the options at the top.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so let's do 90, select both of them, and center align, center align. Perfect. And we're gonna wanna do that for this guy too. You wanna make sure, so something I often forget to do is rotate between my different states. So I'll get so excited about what I'm designing and just jump from one thing to the other really quickly. It's like the same as drawing on a layer that you didn't want to draw on if you're like an artist and you draw in Photoshop or any art tool. It's like the equivalent. Okay, so we have our gradient. Let's link it. 90.
And just a quick reminder, in about 27 minutes, possibly, we're going to be taking a look at daily creative challenge entries. So if you are participating in the challenges, hop over to Discord and we're going to jump in there shortly and take a look at what all of you have been creating.
Yeah, I'm so excited. On that note, really quick, I get so distracted, but daily creative challenge, if you guys aren't doing it already, you can go to behance.net/challenge/xd, and they do these daily challenges where you are seriously gonna just level up in Adobe XD. You also get access to our Discord server where you can see what everyone's up to, and there's all these different channels. So come be a part of the community. It's really fun. You'll have a good time, I promise.
Yeah, it's a fantastic community. We have over 50,000 designers in there, which is insane.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. And what I love about it is it's people from all over the world.
Yeah.
Like you would have never met them if it wasn't for like the internet and this Discord server. But okay, you're gonna laugh, but I had to control Z my way back to safety because I didn't take into consideration when I center aligned the object, it wasn't gonna keep its position in the grid, and so it would like shift. So I'm just gonna eyeball it So here's our gradient. It's orange, which is perfect. Let's drag it out. Let's make it 90, please. Perfect. I hope I was on the right state and I wasn't. See, you guys, it's so important.
That happens all the time.
Right state. Okay, default state. Selected one. Maybe we should go with that size. I think that actually looks better.
Jay Swanson
86.
is saying, I'm new to XD and loving the daily challenges. Yeah, they're fantastic. I run them from time to time, and I'm working on some challenges for some of the features that we are going to be announcing at Adobe Max, which are going to be super fun. But I think we found Kate through the Adobe XD daily challenges. So, and a lot of our guests that we've had on Adobe Live have come from the challenges. So they're, in addition to learning XD and building up your design skills, they can lead to opportunities like this, which is great.
Yeah. Prior to Adobe XD, I had no idea what I was doing when it came to like web designing in a modern way. So like I would do static screens in Photoshop, right? And while that's still totally okay to do, it's just more work because let's say your design team or manager's like, oh, we want to change the size of our body text. And then you have to go into like 20 different PSD mockups and change the size and right. But then when Adobe XD hit, I think I started using it around like 2017, end of 2017, early 2018. I just felt like my UI UX skills improved tenfold because not only are they teaching you like cool tricks to do in Adobe XD and how to better your workflow, but you're seeing these amazing designs every day and you're learning about spacing and font and colors and the industry and how to break into design. And so seriously, I couldn't stress it enough, you guys. I wouldn't be here if I didn't do the challenges. So couldn't recommend it enough.
I love that. So I love hearing that.
Yeah. I definitely would not know you if it wasn't for the challenges.
That's
true. We wouldn't be friends. We wouldn't have gotten boba, but without the boba or
this is true.
Okay, so here we are with our default state, our selected state, and our selected to state. And what we're gonna do is with our default state selected, this is where I wanna stress, it's important to understand the flow of things before you like prototype something. So for example, you could totally go to this avatar and be like, okay, on tap, I want it to auto animate to selected one state because that's the destination of that. And let's say ease out is fine and 0.3 is fine. Right. And you could do that in one artboard, totally fine. But what I want to do specifically is I don't want someone to be able to progress until they click in avatar. Right. And so let's say I had that state there. I don't know that I could apply a second action to that would make the button its default state.
Right.
So I'm going to show you.
Yeah. So
unless
one thing
Howard
you could
has
do.
An idea.
Well,
okay.
One thing you could do is because you're using a giant component with all those avatars, you can put the button inside the component, right? So that way.
Oh.
Yeah. So that way, when you trigger each state, you can also light up that button. So that's definitely an option. You just work with giant components, right? That being said, things like conditioning and logic and stuff like that is something the team knows that a lot of users like Kate want. When X is clicked, then also trigger something else like Y. So that's something they're thinking about. But until then, if you use big components filled with all the different elements that you want triggered, then you can get away with it.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys what Howard is suggesting. So right now we have our button area on top of our avatar's component. And what Howard is saying is if you click on the folder inside of the avatar component, copy paste it in there, delete this guy. So we still have our button area on top, which is what we want. Go in here, click on primary, or no, we're going to go to our avatars component, go to selected one, and when this is selected, I also want our button to be its default state. So let's see if that works as I expect, or I hope it will. Oh no, what'd I do? Okay, so default state, prototype. Oh, I took it away, that's what I did. Okay. Boom.
Bam. Sweet.
Oh, but my button text changed. That's on me. Let's go back. Okay, avatars, selected one, and I think the copy looks good. Okay.
Someone in the chat is asking, is there any plugin recommended to do my design into code with multiple projects? So I know you were talking about Anima earlier and it not being free. Some of the features in Anima are free, but if you're working on lots of projects and big projects, then understandably, many of these developers need income, right, to keep these plugins going. So some of those features will be premium features, especially things like design to code, which is very, very difficult to get right, which is why usually it's a premium feature. So typically you're probably not going to find very good results with design to code free services, but try out a few plugins. There's also one called Web Export. Try that one out. Otherwise, you'll probably have to, pay a little bit for the premium plugins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally hear you. And like Howard mentioned, the whole design to code thing it's really difficult to do. So we want to make sure that we're respecting the people that are making those plugins and paying them, because that's their time, their effort. They're doing a really good job at it. So it's important.
And on the Adobe XD side, the team is definitely aware that design to code is a thing. We're definitely moving in that direction. And Andrew Shorten teased something yesterday that one of the teams at Adobe is working on something potentially revolutionary that will help in the design to code area. Possibly we might see that at Adobe Max this year, but definitely going forward, we're going to see a lot more of that. The team is definitely aware that this is something that people want.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, guys. So this is the perfect opportunity to show you guys padding. But because I was extra and included this little arrow here, I won't be able to achieve it with this button unless, Howard, a workaround. But I do want to show you guys how to best utilize padding really quick. So let's say, oh, that's in the component. I don't want that. Let's grab our rectangle tool, drag that out. Let's make it our orange. Right. Call that button. And then get our text tool. Button, and center align it, and then we're going to group it, make sure we're naming layers as we go. And then so we all know like the classic story of like, okay, we have a button, but let's say we want to rename this to click me. Wait, why is it actually center aligning? Howard, what did I do? I wasn't expecting it to do that. Is it because it's grouped?
No, it's because you have your text center aligned. But I think what you're trying to show is the actual button behind it would resize as you're typing.
Right. So if I were to keep typing, the button would break. Sorry. I'm not very creative with my copy, I know. But a way to avoid that is if we were to enable our padding. XD is analyzing all of the padding around this. And so if we were to add text, it would resize, which is pretty cool. But since I have this arrow here, it gets a little bit tricky, so I'm gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way. Yeah,
so what I was going to suggest, and actually Steven in the chat threw it in there as well, is if you enable a stack on that button, then you should be able to accomplish the same results. Now the big question is, do you want padding in this situation, right? You may want that button to always remain 100% or snap to those guides. So in that case, you probably don't even want to touch padding. But if you do want the button to resize as you were showing a moment ago, and you do have an icon in there, then you'll just have to enable a stack on the whole button, and you should be good to go.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and in that case, you'll probably want to edit the main component to turn a stack on. But yeah.
Okay. Let's avoid that for right now because like Howard said, it's not really necessary. I just wanted to show you guys how cool padding was. I think this original copy looks good. I saw someone in the chat, I think it was Aaron, mention before you suggested how to make the selected state all in one component, she wanted to know how I would do it beforehand. And I can definitely show you that. So let's, this is perfect. Oh wait, maybe not, because I guess it's the same thing. I was gonna use flows again. So like if I came up here and I did like, if I thought at first I wanted to do like user testing. So if I did like onboarding flow A, let's move this down. I don't think that's enough room, but we'll find out. And then duplicated it, brought you down. It's definitely not enough room. Typing is just so difficult on Live Air. Onboarding flow B. So like if I wanted to run like an
I do the
test,
same thing. I have the whole microphone and this boom arm sitting here, so I have to like keep looking around and trying to maneuver myself to try to type anything.
I hit my mic at least like 5 times during yesterday's stream. I'm so sorry if that if it made a noise or anything. Okay, so what I was gonna do before Aaron was, if I didn't want my button area in the component, let's say I'm working with a lot of different designers all in one file, and at one glance, like they're not gonna know visually at a first glance what I'm depicting. So I'm only really showing the, oh no, this is component. I'm only showing the default state. So if they wanted to see what or other selected states were, they would actually have to click in and click around, and then they would get that visual. But instead, if we wanted to break that up into 2 different artboards where they see the default state and then the next board is the selected state, what I was going to initially do was, let's bring button area out of there. So we're going to take button area out of our component. So button area is sitting right on top. Really quick, something I forgot to do was enable scrolling. So for example, if we go here and try to scroll, nothing would happen. But with our component selected, you can click on this button right here and it will enable scrolling. Let's name this avatars, avatars scrolling.
It's just a whole jumble of letters.
Yes. Okay. So now that we've done that, we can scroll. Yay. Okay, so with our button area outside of it, what I was going to initially do was, this is now our component, right? It's not including our button. So click on our component, default state, duplicate this. And initially we had this button as its disabled state because you haven't selected anything yet. But if I were to come over here, let's say that they've selected one. Why did that trigger? Oh, because this button was already orange. And then we set the prototype not to go to a different state, but instead to a different artboard. So let's rename this artboard onboarding avatar selected one. Take away this 2 because that's confusing. And so on tap, I want it to auto animate to onboarding avatar. What? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I saw all the different selecteds and got very confused down here. Onboarding avatar selected one. And then preview that. And it does the same thing. So I think if you're working with a bunch of other designers, or let's say you invite developers into an Adobe XD file for any reason, or you just want like a really quick overview where they don't have to click around so much, this would be the way to go. But if you are the only person working in your file, you are definitely welcome to use only states and one artboard.
Yeah, definitely cool. A lot of different options. Kate did mention development. Currently, at the moment, states are not available within design specs. That is actively being worked on, so that's coming. So you won't have to worry about that in the future. But in the meantime, you can definitely use 2 artboards like Kate just showed.
Cool. I do want to play a little bit with flows, just a bit more. We had 2 people in the chat earlier today mention, why not save the user some time? Like, why do they have to click it and then click looks good. So this is the perfect opportunity to maybe create 2 different flows for an A/B test. So let's say this button, would this button exist? No, this button would not exist. So let's hide our button area. Actually, let's just hide the button, because we have to consider, like, when we're working with iPhone, there's cutoffs, right? Like there's different blind spots. So I do want to keep the rectangle here. And I want to drag down and cover like maybe that much space, because otherwise our grid would just run to the very bottom of the phone, and we don't want that.
Right.
So maybe like right there. That button is gone. And let's create that flow one more time. So using Command Control D, I want to duplicate my artboard. Let's go to, oh, you got to remember to turn your phone elements off, or else you're going to be doing a lot of alt clicking, and it's just
that's true.
a hassle.
Yeah, we have Steven in the chat saying asking any chance we will be seeing custom default values in the future, default border colors, background colors, text colors, etc. I would say there's a safe bet that yes, probably that's going to come in the future. I don't think it's going to be in the immediate future, but it's something the team is very much aware of. I've spoken to the team a few times about even basic things like dragging on a rectangle, right? You have a white rectangle and you have a gray border around it, and that's obviously for accessibility reasons, so that when you create an object on a blank artboard, you can actually see the object, right? But of course, some people might want a dark shape as they're dragging out with no border, for example. So yeah, it's definitely something the team is aware about. They want to get to, but I think they want to tackle a few bigger things first. But yeah, I think we'll probably see that at some point.
So Howard, I am hoping for your opinion here. So I'm trying to think through the flow now with that button gone. So someone clicks on this avatar, and I still want that gradient to appear to show that they've tapped on it. So the way that I'm thinking about it is I still want this extra artboard to go to the selected state, and the next screen after that would be our onboarding screen. So this is eventually going to be our high fidelity. And so the way I'm thinking about it, and this is, I think I want to run with the more visual way to do it, just to show like progression. So on click of this, I wanted to auto animate to onboarding avatar 2, but then I want this to be a time trigger where maybe it's this. So let's see what that looks like. Yeah, so we still get that effect. Would you do that in one artboard, or would you do that in multiple?
Probably multiple, I would assume.
Okay.
Yeah. Joe in the chat is asking about pages or naming conventions. Organizing components and assets is a chore at the moment. And yeah, I agree. So the team's working a lot on, I don't want to give away too much, but the team is definitely working on assets. We might see some of that soon. And Andrew Shorten did confirm that the team is also looking into pages, for example, and you may be familiar with pages in other applications, and it's something that a lot of users have been asking for in terms of organizing. And we were talking a little bit about this yesterday, being able to put like your mobile flows in one page, maybe your design system in another page. Maybe you're the type of person who likes displaying your components, right, on your canvas or on your document, but you don't want it on the main canvas, so you might want to put that in another page. So yeah, something the team is definitely looking into. And Eric says, come on, not pages. I'd be curious to see why. I know, I would love pages, just so I can, of course it would be optional, right? You don't have to use pages, but I'd be curious to see why you don't like pages.
Yeah, because to Howard's point, this is what we're working with right now. So we all know that like as we're designing apps, we don't necessarily know what our components will be yet, because we're in the design phase, we're finding out what works best, we're iterating a lot. And so whenever you're making a new master component, what I do anyways is I would then have to drag that master components to my master components artboard, so I don't have to go hunting if I ever want to like update my master component, and then I would copy paste that instance where I had the master. And so what Howard is saying, instead of like using artboards like this to hold all of our components, is we would see them living in pages like other design tools do. So So
Yeah, and again, it's completely optional. You can continue using your assets panel if you want to, but some people, including me, I love just kind of keeping things very organized. iPad views in one page, mobile in another page, design systems in another page. So yeah, something the team is definitely exploring.
okay, guys, I need your opinion again. I don't know if we should share the XD link again, or if you guys just want to chime in the chat. But we have these two onboarding flows. Let me just finish wiring this up really quick. Make sure the button goes here.
Oh, that's right. Drew pointed out that it's now main component instead of master component.
Yes. Thank you so much.
It took me a while to get used to that as well.
Yes. Thank you again for correcting me. I know that Adobe XD and a lot of leading design tools all collectively came together and said, let's use main component. And I thought that was such a big thing for you guys to do, to just all use the same language, so people learning understand better, and we just all speak the same language.
Yeah, and one more thing before you wrap things up. Eric did clarify that he says, all I want is a bigger canvas, infinity canvas, and not pages. So I want to touch on that for a moment. First of all, the team has definitely experimented with a larger canvas, infinity canvas, all those sorts of things. But whenever you have like a massive amount of artboards on one single canvas that could be visible at any times, performance is just going to take a dump. It's just going to be terrible, right? You're zooming out, you have all these like high fidelity flows on a single canvas. The benefit of pages is that they're not all visible at the same time. So performance could actually improve if you're kind of distributing things amongst pages. And of course, if we did introduce pages, they would absolutely be, you'd be able to wire up different flows between the different pages. So you wouldn't really lose the ability to do some of that stuff. They would just have the ability to organize things a little bit better. But I don't, maybe we'll increase the canvas a little bit at some point, but we've definitely experimented with it and performance just really suffered. So who knows? You never know.
Yeah, because I mean, Adobe XD does give us this huge canvas, right? But when we consider, I mean, we got our landing page, 2 onboarding flows, well, I guess 3 because lo-fi and high fidelity, our homepage flow, and a design system. I mean, we've already used up, I'd say that's like 15% of it. And so if this blows up and becomes a huge mobile app and I need 30 more pages, I see what you're saying there. It could get a little messy. Okay, how long is it? 3 minutes until the design challenge? I don't want to cut it short. Okay, I guess I'll use the next 3 minutes to ask you guys for your opinion. I'm looking over here because that's where the chat is. We have 2 flows going on. So the first flow is, so this is where you're choosing your avatar, and we removed the button. So you would just click on it and it would immediately progress to the next screen. Or we have onboarding flow B, which does take an extra click, where you click on an avatar, you have that selection confirmed, and then you click the button and it takes you to the next page. So let us know. Let us know. A, B, what are you guys feeling?
I'm kind of feeling, I don't know, I'm leaning towards A for some reason. You know, I'm the type of person who likes to click around. You know, even though the actual images are not changing really, aside from the gradient on when you tap on something, I just like tapping on something and then tapping on something else. It makes me feel like I'm making a very big decision, right? And I would hate to tap on something and have to go back and tap on something else. But we got Annabelle saying flow B and B from Yaya.
What do you guys like about B? Is it similar to what Howard likes, of just having that control of, just control? A lot of B's. I love it. Okay, we have 1 minute left. As you can see, we have these flows defined. So let's say I wanted all of my onboarding stuff right up here. So why not? All right, so we see the progression. We see that we have our low fidelity. We user tested that at the beginning of the stream. If you're just joining, we assigned this a flow, went to share mode, set it to the design review, and we actually shared this link with the chat, and we had the chat jump in there and give their feedback. We can check this out really quick. So here's my internet. Some comments that were left, which was pretty cool. So again, thanks you guys. And then with that feedback that we got, we iterated a little bit. So we started with this button over here. We got the feedback that there's too many clicks, and we made another flow. And now we're testing A against B. So that's where we're at. We are at 1:30 though. So it's design challenge time.
Yeah, so go ahead and actually, before you hop over to Discord, do you have the daily challenge landing page available?
Right.
And Cornell's saying, in A, there's no turning back when you select the avatar, but what if you changed your mind? Yeah.
Oh, I do want to show you something, but I'll wait until after the daily challenge.
Cool. So yeah, so we've been running the daily challenge over the last week and a half, and Peter Del Tondo has been running it. And today's challenge, if you scroll down just a little bit, Kate, we've got, looks like component states is today's challenge. To design and prototype an interactive form. That's always fancy. And then yesterday's challenge was all about interactions. Design a baby name generator and prototype an experience where users swipe left or right, indicating preference. That's fun. I like that. So we're going to hop into Discord and take a look at the current challenge channel. That's the one. It's a mouthful.
It is.
Yeah, we'll take a look at some of what you've been up to over the last 2 days.
Let's see. Should probably get updated. There's a lot of submissions here. Should we start from the bottom and work our way up?
Sure.
Okay. Looks like... Should I click this one?
So
wait,
it looks like
that's a link to UX Movement. Yeah,
anyone from Joss is probably feedback. Joss has been doing a fantastic job at giving a ton of feedback. There we go. There's one.
All right, this one is from King's Kiss. Ooh, that is pretty cool. I love how bright it is. Like right off the bat, my eye was so drawn to it. I wanted to check out what it was about. Ooh, turn on location to find drivers closest to you. Oh, so it's like an Uber.
Yeah, these illustrations are really nice. The only thing that stands out to me, the color is a little bit untraditional. The yellow in the background, it's not terrible. I mean, it kind of works. So I'm not going to go too hard on that one. But the only thing, and this is so picky, but the only thing that's standing out is that back button at the top left-hand corner. It's like, it's not, I don't know what that shape is. It's not completely rounded, but it's not, I don't know what it is. Maybe I would just round out the corners completely so it's a circle. That's the only thing I would give feedback on.
Yeah, I agree with you there. To Howard's point about the yellow against the orange, I think if you changed that yellow to pure white, I think you would just see the pop that you're looking for. Because right now, when you have colors that are so close to one another, right now I'm only looking at the blues, right? So I'm only looking at this button, I'm looking at this button, and the copy gets lost a little bit, right? Because my eye is drawn to all this blue. So I think if you change this beautiful yellow to a white, so the screens pop off, maybe make the text a little bit bigger. And if you wanted to even make this blue button white, I know it's important in case you want to go back, but it is like a secondary or tertiary element compared to what else you have.
Yep.
I think you'll see a lot of improvement, but I mean, honestly, this is pretty cool. I love it.
I agree.
Cool.
And we were talking about this yesterday. Is a simple illustration can go such a long way and just make a design look fantastic.
What? Okay, I meant to clap for that, but I guess it's not working.
Yeah, Discord has this weird thing where if you click on the emoji thing, you would think clicking on that thing at the top right-hand corner would actually apply that emoji, but it just changes the tone of the skin. It's a strange user experience.
Yeah. Okay, next up we have SNDP. Let's check it out. Full screen this. Ooh. Got some cool animations going on.
Okay, so this is from the naming generator. Ooh, look at that.
Ooh. I love that you included the meaning of the name. The origin of the name.
Fancy.
Yeah, this is really cool. One little bit of feedback, and this is so small, but I know that you're highlighting the different state, I guess, of boy versus girl with this blue color, and I think it looks really, really good, but I would suggest testing the contrast of it just because people that maybe are colorblind or are hard of maybe, they can't see as well, they're not going to know which one they've selected because it's so close to the other blue. So just something to keep in mind, but visually it looks amazing. Great job.
Yeah, I
Look
agree.
at how like perfect your alignment is down here. Like something I do see a lot is maybe something that's not perfectly center aligned, or things are a little bit wonky, but like this is perfect. Like it even lines up with the edges of the card. It looks great.
Yeah, and those shadows are not too overdone, which I always talk about shadows a lot.
Yes.
So they work.
Definitely.
Nice job.
That was from, oh gosh, where'd it go? I lost it. SNDP. Great job. Whoop, whoop. Okay. These are both from, oh, it looks like he's replying to people.
Yeah.
I mean, we can look at this really quick.
Yeah.
All right, nameless. So this is his feedback. Let's see if we agree. So why not align more with the top margin? This is your app. Okay. Oh, so this, okay, I understand now.
Yeah, I would say in general, just kind of taking a quick look at this, everything seems very, very small. So I would, those buttons, blow those buttons up. They're probably not 45 pixels where they should be around that. You have this ton of space at the top of this loading screen. Utilize it, blow up that logo a little bit, blow up the text so it's a little bit more readable. And the buttons on the second and third artboard, the cancel and love buttons, I would tweak those somehow. I know you have a little bit of a shadow behind the buttons, but it looks a little bit muddy. It's hard to see the buttons, the white buttons against that white background. I would just change them to maybe just solid red buttons and solid green buttons, and maybe put the icons as white, for example. You can try that. But overall, just make things much bigger so that people can read it. Yeah,
definitely. Like we talked a little bit on yesterday's stream, when you're designing for mobile, you want to make sure your body text is somewhere around 15 or 16 pixels to meet accessibility. I think you've done a great job with the colors, and I like these blobs in the background. Visually, it looks great. But this probably is like a 10-point font. You might want to, like Howard said, bump that up a little bit. Nameless, but yeah, great job. Okay, should we do one more? How many more should we do?
Let's do two more. I think we can get through that.
Oh wait, maybe I hit yesterday's?
That's okay.
Okay. Ooh, this one has a sword in it. Yes.
Everything's better with a sword.
So true. If you go to my Twitter, my header is a sword. Ooh, this is fun. Look at all this animation. So, okay. Nice.
I have no idea. I should probably figure out what exactly the challenge was for that one.
Oh, here, wait, I got it. It
Let's
was...
see, I'm looking at it as well. There's a spaceship, there's a Kanban.
Maybe it was sounds. Maybe we didn't have sound enabled?
I don't know. But regardless, it looked pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fun wooden background you used. It's not traditional or anything, but I think it's important to express yourself and make unique work. And so kudos, I think that was really cool.
Yeah, and depending on I don't know what exactly this application is for, but you got to be careful with long animations, because sometimes they're too long and it would lose users. Of course, if there's like a loading state, then animations, sure, throw all the animations you want as things are actually loading in the background. But you want to be careful not to drag things out too long, because then your users will get annoyed and just kind of close the application.
Right. Completely agree. Okay. Good job. Aardwolf, great job. Let's do one more.
Oh, we got Jonath right there down. Oh. First time doing a daily challenge. Ooh.
Sweet. Okay, let's go to... Oh, she gave us the share link. Let's check
Nice.
Okay, so is this maybe the baby name generator?
Oh, it could be, yeah.
Okay, so Aiden, and then I guess I can click if I like it.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, so maybe...
Did you see the hearts?
That was fancy. Yeah, let's go back really quick. Let's do a... Oh no, I'm breaking it. Replay of it. Oh, I guess not. Ooh. Like, look at how beautiful that was. That
was
fade
fancy.
out. That was amazing. And then looks like I can click here. This name is currently number 5 in US births. Bella, I believe that. Maybe. Cool. What I really like about this is, of course, that beautiful animation, but also the way the card tilts away as you like something. It's not just like a simple up or down, the way it acts like a card would. That's a really good job.
That's a really nice touch.
Yeah, slight typo, but I am very guilty of typos as well, so no judgment. Just yeah, cool.
Yeah, I would also just add a way on the design to get back to the home screen. It looks like Kate has been like tapping around and she uses the navigation controls at the bottom, but if you just put like a back button towards the top somewhere just to go back to the starting animation, because I would definitely just click on that heart all day just to see those little hearts kind of explode from it. So it was pretty fun. Yes.
And speaking about icons really quick, so you have this hamburger menu, a filter icon, and a search icon. I do want to say, for your first time doing this challenge in Adobe XD, this is super cool. I love what you've done. But when this would be a mobile application, make sure your touch targets, at least for these icons, are around 44 pixels, because human hands can be big, and when you're trying to touch on like a little like 16 by 16 pixel icon, it's not the best experience, but all in all, I love it. Great job.
Cool. Great work, everyone. And we'll definitely continue, not me, but I won't be here the rest of the week, but other hosts will definitely continue taking a look at daily challenges. So keep working on them. Throw them in the current challenge channel. Again, mouthful. But great work.
Cool. All right. Well, if you're just joining us, I know we only have about 20 minutes left. But essentially what we've created here today and yesterday is an app idea called Good Place, where it is a mobile application that only shares good news with you, whether that be on a global scale that we feature in stories, or whether that be in your community. So let's say that you live in San Francisco and you only want to see the good stuff happening around your neighborhood. So you can view that as well. So where we're at is, I believe we left off with some results from user testing. So again, if you're just joining, Adobe XD released the new update today, which allows us to use flows. So essentially what that does for us is we can now share different flows. Let me move this in share mode. So maybe I just want to share my user testing with people, or maybe I just want to show or share my landing page flow, since it's all fleshed out and ready for development with my dev team. And also in design mode, you can move these in chunks now, which is so great. I mean, before we were shift clicking each artboard title. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. And if anyone hasn't checked out the new flows feature, I just posted a video in chat you can watch after the stream if you want to. Or in between the stream. It's only like 3 minutes long.
Yeah, Howard is really good at getting as much information that is valuable to us in like 2 to 3 minutes, and it's perfect. So make sure you go give it a watch.
Yeah, we as humans have zero attention spans these days. So like a 1 minute video is probably more than enough.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so we have about 15 minutes left. Before we jump to the creative challenges, we asked you guys whether you like Flow A or Flow B better. At the start of the stream, we actually started with our low fidelity version, created it in a high fidelity version. And so this is Flow B that we started with. So you click on your user icon. When you see that it's selected with the orange, it looks good. You go to the next screen. But then when we sent you guys the onboarding link via share, a few of you had a really good idea of, well, that's an extra click. Why not just remove the button, have that state, and then you can go here. So it's just one less click for a user, which is, I mean, a great idea. Someone in the chat also had an idea or had a comment about, but with this version, without that confirmation, what if I, choose this one and, oh my God, wait, I don't want that one anymore and I want to go back. So this is where it's so important to have your universal like navigational bar up here. So I have that icon there ready to go. So let's say in this case, I want to go back. I can just click on this arrow icon. And before I do that, since I just preached touch targets, I'm going to do it myself. So this icon is, we're in prototype mode. This icon is like 6 by 8. Wait, that's the wrong one. 20 by 20, which is not the best. So what I want to do is in this group, using my rectangle tool, I want to start from the middle using Alt, Shift, and drag out to about, I don't know, 44 is standard. Let's do, well, between 40 and 45. So let's just do 40. And I know it's breaking our margin here, but that's okay because you're not going to see it. So what I want to do is I want to group these and call this the actual button. And then this is our touch target. And so since they are, where did he go? Oh, he's turned off. No fill, no border. He's practically invisible, but he's still there. And since they're all part of the same group, it's going to give your thumb a lot more room to interact with it. But since we're kind of doing this a little bit backwards, so bear with me, but we want to make sure these are the same across artboards. So here we are in top elements. There's our back button. Delete that and place him there. And then same with this guy. This is where I love copy pasting in Adobe XD because it pastes in the same spot across artboards. It saves so much time.
Yeah, and this also kind of drills home the importance of using components in XD. If not to I don't know what I'm trying to say, but if you were using components from the beginning, right, you could have just made that update just once, and then it would just gone across everything. Otherwise, you can just copy and paste. That works too.
But in Howard's case, using Controller Command K, I would have that component and then drag the instances from my assets panel onto my artboard. And then if I ever wanted to change the color, size it differently, whatever, it would, like Howard said, span across all artboards. So I forget which one of you mentioned in the chat how to go back, but you would just grab this icon, drag it over here. On tap, I want it to auto animate's fine. Let's see how it looks. Ease out is fine, and 0.3 is pretty standard. So here we are. Oh wait, that was a transition one. We select our icon and we decide, I don't really like that one anymore. And it goes back. But me being silly, I dragged it to the wrong artboard. It should go all the way back to the first one. So if we click that again, there we go, and we're back.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Joe in the chat is saying, back to the avatars, maybe cut down on the number. Too much choice. It's interesting feedback. That's true. It's standard to not want to overwhelm your users, right? So sometimes simple, or actually most cases, simple is better. With less options, it's not as much like cognitive overload. My idea behind it was to really embrace, diversity and having a great range to choose from. But this is where you gotta weigh what's more important. I think for this, we're gonna stick with the 21 that we've chosen because you guys have picked out a lot of really amazing ones in the chat. I don't want to delete them, but I do hear what you're saying, Joe. And in a lot of app cases, you want to use, less is more. Yeah, I would actually argue for an application like this, more might be better. I mean, it might be difficult to showcase them all at once. Maybe every time someone signs up, maybe there's a random group of, let's say, 12 or something like that. But if you're looking at a feed of news, right, if there's only 5 or 6 different avatars to choose from, then after a while everyone's going to kind of have the same avatars. You're going to see the same ones over and over and over again, and they're all linked to different people's names, so you're going to get very confused looking at someone's avatar. It's doesn't match. Kate's avatar could be the same as my avatar, just because we decided to pick from a group of 1 or 5 or 6. So having hundreds of different avatars will allow that pool to not have that repetitive. I don't know what I'm saying today. I'm getting super tired, but my words are just jumbled. But yeah, you got what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah, I do. And I'm with you. I'm relying heavily on my yerba mate right now to keep the energy.
I ran out of coffee a while ago, and it's like I'm hitting the what's it called? The crash is hitting me.
Yes. Yeah. It's okay. I totally hear what you're saying. And Howard's right. Like, you want to make sure you're providing enough options where people's avatars are different across the app, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. So we have 10 minutes left. Is that enough time for us to knock out an illustration, do you think?
We actually have about 4.5 minutes left. We end about 5 minutes early. But possibly, you can definitely go ahead and try. Someone's asking, is there any idea when live preview will be available for Android? I don't know exactly. I do know that there's a limitation actually on, I believe it's Windows you're probably on. There's a limitation of the Windows operating system, which is the same reason we cannot, at the moment, offer video recording directly from within the application, why you have to use Game Bar built into Windows. There's some weird limitations with UXP or whatever it's called. Certain features we cannot offer on Windows. So hopefully one day, I know the team is in constant contact with Microsoft and trying to figure things out, but hopefully one day.
Yeah. All right. Since we have about 3 minutes left, guys, I'm just going to use it as an opportunity to wrap up, talks about what we've designed today. So if you're just joining us late, today we've designed a mobile application called Good Place, where the whole point of the app is to provide good news on a global and a neighborhood scale, because in social media right now, there's a lot going on. It's pretty stressful, it's pretty heavy, and I want this to be a sort of escape. So during our 2 days of streaming, we've seen our design system come together. We've touched on some of the design, the style guide down here. And we've talked about, or we've actually designed our way through a landing page flow. So using auto-animated things like that, we created that. And we've also, with the announce of flows, we've gotten to do some pretty cool, we got to iterate today. Words are hard. So we've seen our onboarding lo-fi version come together, where it was just simple grays. And then we actually tested 2 different onboarding flows with you guys using the new flows feature and using share for design review. And that was super fun. So thank you guys so much for participating. Last but not least, we have our homepage flow, where once users complete the onboarding, they can see what, we call it the good word, but like what is like the most featured news, and that would act as like an article when they swipe down to read it. The featured news would act like stories on Snapchat or Instagram, and community news is, during the onboarding process, you enable your location. So in this scenario, myself, Howard, Voodoo Val, and Jack Watson are all in San Francisco, so we see what we're up to and what good stuff we're doing. So that is Good Place.
This is
if
looking
you guys,
great, and I would love to see. If you have time, I know you're starting a new position soon. You have a lot going on in your life, but I would love to see, this eventually be uploaded on Behance as a case study, because I think there's a lot of fun and interesting challenges as for an application like this. And we talked about this yesterday, is how do you balance moderation? How do you balance curation, censorship, and that sort of thing? Because of course, good news is very subjective. Something that I think is very good could be completely devastating to you, and vice versa. So how do you create that balance on something like this? And what are the philosophies behind the different colors? Why are you using orange? Why aren't you using red? And that sort of thing. There's a lot you can definitely talk about and go in depth on a case study like this. Yeah,
100%. And we even talked about, there may be people that use the application for the wrong reasons and maybe try to be trolls and upload dumb stuff. And it's like, at one point, do we maybe like block out certain keywords, but then when does that cross the line into censorship?
Right.
And so maybe I can take a few notes on how Twitter is doing it and do some research there. But again, thank you guys so much. You guys have been amazing. Thank you for all of your awesome suggestions, doing some testing with us today. You guys got to pick out a lot of really cool avatars for our onboarding flow. If you guys want to stay in touch, if you guys want to see Good place to come together or, be friends. I have some pretty cool like pasta recipes I'll like share with you guys. You can go ahead and find me on Twitter, just over here. That's me. This is my account at Kate Kassab. Go ahead, give me a follow if you want.
Did you say pasta recipes?
Yeah.
Oh, I need some of those.
I don't know how to cook much, but like I'm pretty good at pasta, I guess.
Oh, I need that.
Okay, cool. All right.
All right, everyone.
Any closing words, Howard?
No, none. Drink more coffee. That's all I got today. I'm gonna go have another cup.
Yeah, ending question. Do you guys prefer coffee? Do you prefer tea? I'm here with a yerba mate. Do you guys like energy drinks? How are you guys powering through your days? Just 8 hours of sleep? Like, I respect that.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah, lots of coffee and hopefully pumpkin spice lattes in our future.
Which, speaking of which, I have to go get my first ever pumpkin spice latte per Howard's request. So
I expect a documentary on this.
11-page report, 20 tweet, a tweet that has 20, oh my God, words, a Twitter thread about pumpkin spice lattes.
Yeah, I think that's our cue. Stick around. Peter Del Tondo's coming up in just a few minutes, and we will see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.